checking that's an Alice ban. It's an Alice ban.
I agree. I don't hate it because Chosen was gross.
Right, and like we mentioned, Alice Lindis is something that's very terrifying and something you really don't want to deal with.
And Alice Carly doubles down. Yugen Dynasty.
We're going to start calling this Alindis.
Alindis?
Just throwing that out there.
Right.
Alind Lee, because the Carly was in there anyway.
I want to point out very quickly that Hitman seems to come from VVV, the team that was in Valor Series 2, Valor Series Season 2, and that's probably a recent addition after defeating them in the qualifiers.
Ban phase is almost complete. You do get the Yabeneth, the Annette, a hard focus on Chosen, but the extra removal of that Yabeneth that was so powerful opposing them, it's all meta bans hovered at least and locked in. Sephora, Richter, and Elsu. This leaves Yugen Dynasty with the pick of the litter as far as what made it through, and they'll select Florentino for their side lane.
Florentino gets through to the pick stage for one of the first times. We'll see if they can play it as well as, you know, his skill cap is.
Ooh.
I kind of like this. They need something to deal.
Tell me more.
They need something to deal.
Tell me more. Yes.
Oh, this is just all your dreams coming true at once.
Oh my goodness, what have we come to? Zeus, stop doing this.
We've come to the future. You want someone to deal with Florentino. Now, let's talk a bit about the ideal Florentino fight, because we've touched on it. The ideal Florentino fight is a long brawl in which he is never interrupted. There are no stuns going his way. There are no disengages going his way. Have you met the man made of stuns? Because if you haven't, his name's Gilder.
You got to admit, that's a pretty compelling way of putting it, D2.
You know, I think that Gilder's been pretty reasonable as of late. I'll give you that. But
thank you.
Carly comes back as well.
Jagnar Liliana will come through the back of the Yugen Dynasty side. Now, Jagnar especially good to deny the stuns. They'll follow through with Zephyrs in the jungle and Valheim as a side lane. The Carly comes back, like you said, for CLC. Lindis in the jungle again.
I'm already loving this draft here for Dynamite.
Oh my god, I was wondering, will they give you all your dreams? I mean, Beldam's not here, but other than that, will they?
Well, they still have time to change.
It's going to be Beldam. You wait, they're just teasing you, TJ.
I'll take it. I'll take the lumber.
Ooh.
I accept that. That is a valid selection.
Well, I mean, it is in terms of these are heroes in the game and you're about to pick.
But I accept it. I allow it. And that's enough. This is a very fun draft. Yes, you get my Gilder that I'm so excited for. And two, you also get the Lumber, who isn't one of my favorite characters, but he's up there. He's close.
He's top 10.
There's a pattern, by the way. I just really like stuns. I like repositioning. I like characters that are not fun to play against. Okay,
talk to me about mobility. How do you feel about Dino Rider's picks for that?
They actually are pretty good on those two characters. The advantage of both Lumber and Gilder is that they have a lot of HP, and they both have about one dash that's similar size.
Okay.
Gilder has Siege, which dashes him forward and gives him his empowered auto attack. And you also have Lumber with Rampage, which is a short little dash, which gives any ally he runs across in the meantime a shield.
D2, there's a tier list kicking around, which I've referred to a couple of times this weekend, and I'm quite a big fan of it, but I'm beginning to trust my sources, or rather distrust my sources, because I see people like Gilder and Carly being played on a professional level.
Carly, you know, if you actually if you read the blurb, it says she's very situational and she can be pulled out at times like this.
Oh,
and
you know this list.
you,
oh, you know this list.
Mind you, I'm the one who advocated for lots of Carly, even though, again, she's in tier 2, I know, in my tier list, because in the right situations, like these ones, she is fantastic.
Gilder.
Gilder's tier 3. He might be moving up in the next one, though.
Oh, look what you've done. Oh, look. Wow, this stuff matters. We are pioneering right here. Dino Riders, a good win over Yugen Dynasty, but what are Yugen Dynasty going to pull out here now? Well, it's Dino Riders with the unusual picks. Let's see if they can make it work.
Dino Riders don't need to win this game. They've already won my heart.
With Zeus hitting multiple members there. Now, keep in mind, the Exuberance has a very narrow hitbox, but if it hits one hero, it has a very wide splash damage.
Yes. The Exuberance has a relatively narrow, long-ranged poke, but it is so long-ranged, it covers almost as much as the snipe from Elsu.
Oh,
and if it lands, it does pretty massive damage, an automatic stun, and...
in a large AoE, yeah.
A large AoE for the automatic stun. and the damage.
So you can actually use minions in order to make sure you get off the stun on the heroes, which is very nice, even though the stun is getting in the way.
Here's the pressure down in the bot lane. Junie caught out as Dino Riders continue to push forward into the enemy side.
So we didn't pick favorites here, but I think Dino Riders...
I know my favorite.
Well, I mean, I'm on your side. Dino Riders going to take this pretty easily, in my opinion.
I don't care if you're on my... I'm on my side.
Anyway, what I'm looking for Yugen Dynasty to take advantage of is, we've seen this before, the thick front line, right? They take a while to get around the map, but I just don't see Yugen Dynasty with the heroes to take advantage of it, and that is where this is going to bite them.
No, I absolutely agree. The fact that they're not able to take advantage of the somewhat lower mobility is a major factor. We saw Lumber earlier today. We were talking about the Waterstone buffs for the AoE because of that, how that interacts with Lumber's passive. Would you like to go into that? Though they are building Windstone.
Yeah, that Waterstone you can build into Tidecaller's Mark, and that allows you to get more HP and defense there.
Here's the Abyssal Dragon up for grabs, and Chosen almost steals it. It will be taken away by SNXP. Chosen in trouble still as Hitman dives into the back of the fight, definitely trying to get this engage, but Rocker will just deny.
That just showed the damage here coming out from them. I'm sorry.
This will be Zeus in trouble as well, and the top lane threatening the tower.
I can't read your mind, CJ. I'm sorry. I have no idea.
You don't need to read my mind because there's Zeus.
No, I can't read your mimes.
Oh. Just wanted you to come closer. Here's the pressure from Chosen. Hitman in trouble as there's the rampage for that micro stun. Tiny little interrupt, and they've got the follow-up from the exuberance. Zeus burning down the tower in the meantime with that Midas touch. It's gone, a burst of damage, a flash of light, and Gilder claims his first victim.
Great team play there from Chosen and Zeus, allowing for Hawaii to take down the tower because they were in front, because they were stunning them out and providing that meat shield.
I think that's one of the underrated parts of Gilder. You can build him like full... There are a lot of underrated parts of Gilder. But that's one of the underrated parts of Gilder. You can build him full damage, and he's still like a beefy boy.
Right, because the more damage you build with him, the higher his shields go. So as long as you're continuously landing those abilities, you can get in the fight anyway.
And that's pretty fun. Yikes will be scared back in the bottom lane by Dual Spirals, who's quietly chipping away, working away on the Valheim. Do you favor that much?
Yeah, this is one of the only advantages that they have with the Valheim in that lane, and the fact that they haven't really taken full advantage is a problem.
Chosen with the Earth Splitter, CLZ for the follow-up at range. GM in a lot of trouble tanking the tower shots, actually dropped quite low. While Rocker pushes through for the rest of the fight. They've got Sly, and the rest kind of lined up.
Even though Hitman has come in here as a sub, he has not shown his worth quite yet. Florentino has not provided the damage and the kill that they need from him.
Oh, that's a big cleat from Yikes. The Shock as well. They want this fight. They want Sly, and they've got XP. Will dive in, focusing down Rocker, but he will survive. The rest of the team comes through, and Yikes is able to secure the kill.
Beautifully timed heal there from Yikes to keep his teammate alive, and despite the jump in there, it was Hawaii, aka Rocker, surviving through all of it.
And Chosen being able to rampage through the team and grant them shields as well.
That is the perfect setup for a Lumber. That is a Lumber dream when you can provide multiple shields there, provide that speed bonus as well. Few people don't know that.
Let's test my theory. Oh, yep, it all works.
Oh, but there is the triple threat. If you don't know, there's a little bit of time where you can, between those stuns, where you can get it off, and if you can get the stun off on the second triple threat, then you can stop that indulgence from going through.
But the indulgence does happen for long enough, it interrupts the flow of the fight. He's able to reset, and Zeus will survive. Now he's got a hard act to follow, though, because 3 people are followed nearby.
Easy work for Zeus. Just hit him with the exuberance, no big deal, as Sly is under pressure down mid.
Mid lane tower will fall. Sly can't do it. Junie and XP are here on the flank, and if they can grab Yikes, it's all very well and good, but these hero pulses coming through. The heals are there from Chosen. I don't think they'll save Yikes. I don't think they'll save CLZ. He'll flicker his safety. Chosen will fall. A double kill to the Chognar of Yugen Dynasty.
Able to come in there on the flank, but that said, that took all 5 members, which means they're not getting ahead in this macro game. They may get this tower, though.
They will get the tower. That is the Chognar with the only 2 kills for Yugen Dynasty.
Well, he got the damage on his side, even though he's building. He's building into the essence of the win, which is a typical item there.
I almost thought Rocker stole that Spirit Sentinel, but it did go away from him.
By the way, this is mostly full damage here from the Gilder, just going for that flashy boost to get that extra.
Oh my god, the prediction from that Exuberance Indulgence now. Hitman stunned up so many times, he cannot finish, but he gives it a good run.
That was very close there from Hitman, showing how good Florentino can be in those particular situations. But when I go back to Gilder's build, he does have those flashy boots for the CDR. He can continuously go off of those Exuberances, has the ability power building with that Orb of the Magi, and his next item is going to be magic damage focus as well.
Ideally, I like a ton of CDR in my Gilder builds because realistically, you don't expect Gilder to do insane damage. Instead, you just want those constant point-and-click stuns, and that's what he has to offer.
Well, with 25% cooldown reduction, should he get a Pendant of Faith? Because you do run out of mana. I've been playing some Gilder, TJ.
Thank you. I'm glad you've seen the light. Chosen and CLZ will be playing back. CLZ using that Ethereal Pulse to do exactly that. He's Chugnar, he can do this.
He used his Essence of the Wind on himself, and now it doesn't have it for his teammates, does have
Chaos. Nice use of the Chaos protection to stay alive. Dual Spirals, will get caught out, but he's able to flicker to safety. Yikes, considers diving tower, but the rest of the team turns around to punish Sly.
Just discombobulated, confused on the side of Yugen Dynasty, and they get caught out, they get split up, and they get taken down if you are Sly here. The other member is taken low, and that is a 3,000 gold lead here for Dino Riders. They're pushing into all sides.
Earth Splitter spent from Chosen as Yikes pushes through. They wanted the wave clear so that they could get a little bit more from this. They won't be able to threaten the tower, though, despite getting it.
Well, this is a 4v4, which means Gilder is all by his lonesome in the top. Finally, Sly comes back up to make it a fair fight.
XP will lean through as well. And that's enough for Dino Riders to decide they don't want to be there anymore.
Let's talk about the first pick Florentino not winning against the Gilder. I want to talk about that one.
Yeah, I do. Because, you see, it's all very well and good to think Florentino's meta, but what you don't realize is that Gilder is secretly the most powerful side lane into any character that wants to get into a melee range fight against him.
And you talked about the stuns, but I want to talk about the range, because he can just do what he does without even getting close to Florentino.
Those point-and-click stuns happen at quite a long range. Not just the Exuberance, but also the Midas Touch. The buffed auto attack has a deceptively long range.
That will allow him to deal with Hitman on this Florentino at will if he so desires. As looks like Yugen Dynasty is trying to get aggressive here. Not really working out for them. Hitman though, 1v3.
CLZ tries to punish him.
Wow.
Zeus does get the stun at that deceptively long range, but it does not matter because Hitman just dove past the front lines. Now Zeus and Chosen need to hold as Yugen Dynasty look for more.
Once you see those flowers, you have got to run, even if it's 3 versus 1. Rocker pays the price.
Wave, in the meantime, pushes through. Mid lane will have to be defended. Yikes on the bottom lane doing the same against Dual Spirals, who does get quite a lot of damage, actually.
Is Dino Riders going to know about this Dark Slayer?
The Dark Slayer, yeah, that's coming through in the meantime.
I don't know.
And Yugen Dynasty, they're so close. CLZ just nearby has no clue.
And that is one of the biggest advantages that Yugen Dynasty have taken this entire series. Now they finally have it. They still have 6 towers, CJ. They're not in bad shape structurally, not in bad shape gold-wise either, and now they have this Dark Slayer to their advantage. They're going to go back to base, and I think they're going to release it at base here. There you go.
A little bit further forward. You're losing seconds then.
Yeah, maybe you wanted to be in the front lines for a little bit.
Yikes. Will be shifting his focus away from, I think, the bottom lane, because he's just been losing it to Dual Spirals, to be honest. Dual Spirals doing a great job farming up.
Yeah, well, you kind of expect that. Unfortunately, Dual Spiral won't go into the late game as well as Yikes will.
Yeah. The Yikes will get so tanky. Also, if you go for a little bit extra damage, it's insane.
Oh, no.
Look at this, though. The Drake just not even fought alongside. Yugen Dynasty completely wasted. And actually, in the meantime, Zeus dives the tower. They'll get a lot of damage on the split push. Has to win a 1v2 against Dual Spirals. I don't think that's possible. He'll get shut down, finally. That now means, actually, do get something for it. Yugen Dynasty, if they can roll this kill through to a team fight, they have a strong advantage.
Right, but running away from the Drake means that they weren't able to do anything with the Drake, and they've kind of thrown away that advantage that they had here. Now, Dino Riders has the upper hand potentially in getting... Oh, hello.
Rocker! You can't let him do that. Hitman must punish. There's the flicker forward. He will do it.
Well, Hitman starting to redeem himself, playing a very good Florentino after the early stages of this game here, and now this game is very, very even. I mentioned it earlier, there's still the Abyssal Curse here, which means Dino Riders can take the Abyssal easier, but looks like they don't even care. Speaking of Yugen Dynasty, going to push up top.
Yep, they'll find the pressure they need elsewhere. I appreciate that they found the kill. They carried it through to a consistent player advantage, and they've turned that into 2 towers now.
So for Dino Riders, with the range here from Zeus, with the range here from CLZ, can they start to take these fights? Can they start to poke them down? That hasn't been the case thus far. We haven't really seen much of either of them as far as being successful with that range damage.
No, they consistently are encountering troubles with the mobility available over on Yugen Dynasty, which wasn't what I was expecting.
Right, they're not really that mobile. There's no dashes on the Florentino unless you're talking about his lunge. You know, Sly has it, but she's very vulnerable. She's not going to be leading the charge here. XP perhaps can do that. Dual Spiral just runs around. So they're getting pulled apart when they feel like they shouldn't be.
Yeah, there's the Abyssal Dragon tagged a few times. Chosen threatens to dive, and actually he might have got a little bit too far forward. Chosen in a lot of trouble now. Dual Spirals right up the kill. 2 heals have to be spent to try and keep him alive. There's the shot from behind, and it isn't enough. Now the cleave comes through. Ethereal Pulse joins it. SNXP will be chased back, but it's not enough.
The last glaive took him down, took down Chosen. He was a little bit too far forward, trying to play the protective support for his team, but pays the price here. Here comes a powerful Hims, trying to hold on. Spiral.
He stepped too far forward. SNXP tries to dive to save the fight, and he goes too far forward. That was a massive misplay.
SNXP takes the death for Dual Spiral. He lays his body on the line. Now Hitman may be in trouble here.
The shock leaving a crater
behind. The heal!
The heal! The lifesteal! That is
no
gross!
Way!
Hitman, you are insane! 2 in a row!
My goodness! What was that? He had 0 health to start the fight, and somehow he takes down 2 full health heroes. TJ, that is percent true damage, percent of max health true damage. That is Florentino.
Chosen needs to interrupt this Abyssal, and he does not. Dino Riders do get it, and now
Junie gets the Dark Blessing buff.
They're gonna push forward. Junie does have the Dark Blessing. I'm not sure it'll be enough. He goes out.
It's not useful in the support, however.
Yeah. Okay. Yugen Dynasty benefit from heroic plays, but that doesn't fundamentally change the facts of the game. Dino Riders do still have the gold lead, and right now we're rolling around with the Abyssal buff.
Well, okay, let's take a look at this. If Hitman can 1v5, they win the game. Let's just put that out there.
Can you predict that, Daniel?
I can safely predict if he takes out all 5 members by himself.
No. Can you predict that he will?
He may be able to, because Florentino can be that nuts if Dino Rider is given the opportunity, but if they poke him down from afar, he can't really do a whole lot.
Yeah, Yugen Dynasty perhaps struggling to get the right team fights for their team. I think that's kind of a pattern, but if they can get those ideal team fights for their members, we will see results like that.
Well,
Hitman in trouble.
He's in there.
Oh, flickers in, gets shut down. Rocker finally able to get him, but he's tagged very low. SNXP will dive, getting a lot of low HP members, and Sly might have overextended to try and punish Dual Spirals. He's here as well. Yak slides the cleave, the burst comes through, and Yugen Dynasty have lost a lot of members.
They lose so much here, including Dual Spiral, who I want to point out is building very aggressively, but unfortunately on Valheim, you don't have the range to be able to pull that off, and they're getting punished below their towers.
Earth Splitter through. Junie needs to keep running well behind his core.
In the fountain.
They have wave. This could be and should be game. It's a turbulent one, but Dino Riders do secure the victory.
A little bit of light there for Yugen Dynasty, but they couldn't pull it off. They couldn't pull off the upset there, even with Hitman on that amazing Florentino. The range was just too much. And Dino Riders take the 2-0.
Welcome, Florentino. Welcome, Hitman. Look at that. So Florentino's been banned out so much. Hitman comes in as a sub halfway through a best-of-2 series. Florentino doesn't get banned out. Florentino does some work.
Quite a bit of work, and that is why you see him banned out. You see those outplays, and if you guys are wondering why Florentino is so much a part of the meta now after this latest patch, even though people thought he was nerfed, it certainly wasn't the case. It makes it so much easier. You saw it there. Once you get your ultimate on, once you get the Gentleman's Duel started, you get double the healing on it. You get the easy access to those flowers to start your duel with your opponent, and even if it's 2, no big deal.
And you mentioned it there, you touched on it in-game. During that wonderful 1v2, there's something called % true damage HP. You want to touch on that?
There are two different concepts. One is you do true damage, which obviously you cut through all armor and magic defense. The other is % of max HP, which means that you take their max HP, and if you do 10% of that, for instance, then that's how much you do. But that's mitigated by armor. So you can mitigate the armor stacking by going % of HP. You can mitigate the pierce by going for HP. Excuse me. Mitigate the pierce by going for HP, and you mitigate the opposite by going for armor. He does both at the same time. He's
because of the true damage.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not only ignoring the armor, but he's also doing damage as a percentage of your maximum HP. So it doesn't matter how fat your HP bar is or how much armor you have. Florentino ignores both.
Yeah, he's the best tank killer in the entire game, and he can kill squishies. Unfortunately, the only weakness he has is mobility, chasing after someone or running away, and he has to kind of fight while he has those flowers there.
I'm really perplexed. A, how Florentino got in, and B, how a sub gets given him.
I would like to point out that Gilder does have a 100% win rate in Valor series. Well, we're touching on it.
I did like
nobody
the
was
response.
touching on that.
I
Talking
just
about that.
felt like I was talking about that.
In all seriousness, I think Gilder is one of the better responses to a Florentino because you just don't fight him. That's one of the ways that you don't fight the Florentino is you just shoot him from really far away, like you see here. This was absolutely nuts. Could not believe this fight.
Give me this clip! Hitman, how on earth do you win this? His movement is impeccable, able to pick up all of those flowers time and time again. It's only Rocker coming in from a range, taking a step back, saying, hang on, let's fix this real quick. That stops that from being a rampage.
Yeah, and unfortunately in this particular fight, he's unable to get onto Rocker and just gets shot in the face there. Again, I mentioned that Dual Spiral went very aggressively, but if you're going to go for an aggressive build, I would suggest not picking Valheim.
A better performance from Rocker. You were kind of questioning him during game one. He walks away from that one, the vast majority of his team's damage, and a very good vast majority at that. His only other parity coming from CLZ, but yet again, logged a significantly strong performance on that ranged Kali.
The damage was coming out hard and fast from Kali. Those ethereal pulses were hitting like a truck. Multiple members in both games, actually.
Hitman GM, the star player for Yugen Dynasty, ending with 5 of his team's 9 kills. 3 deaths, though, kind of highlighting the problem. In order to get those fights, he had to dive pretty aggressively in, and that didn't always go great.
So you were saying that you thought maybe Mooney coming out after his Violet performance in the first game was a bit of an ultimatum thing, Hitman's being subbed in. Now, like I said, maybe that was always the plan, maybe they were trying players out, maybe they were going to give them both a game.